Good morning. I'd like to call to order the January 19th meeting of the Sunset Beach Environmental Resource Committee. We would stand and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first order of business is to look at the draft agenda. Are there any questions or proposed amendments to the draft?
Well, I've got a question. I know there's all this back and forth on the officers' elections, and I tried to look back through that yesterday, or whatever day it was. What was ever decided on that?
Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Eggert, I can shed some light on that. Lisa, the town administrator, and I looked into there's to the ERC handbook, and the way it reads that we saw that there has to be a secretary, a chair, and a vice chair.
Right.
It says those positions must be held, but does not get into specifics of how long those positions are held for.
Yeah.
I was going to interject at this point in the meeting, if it is up to the pleasure of the board, and if you want to re-vote on those. I know Mr. Farrell and I talked about that last week, about bringing that to the February meeting. It is if you want to do it today, we can amend the draft agenda to allow that and have a discussion on that on one position or all three. Or if you want to put that off until February, it is completely up to the pleasure of the board.
Well, John, I maybe the thing to do is put this on the February agenda. I got confused in the emails there, not to disrespect anybody, but I had trouble following, which is not unusual. And that kind of segues into something I crossed my mind. The rules of procedure, or whatever the call that I had, were murky on that, and I think the committee needs a set of specific bylaws that we follow on when we meet, who does what, not 6 or 7 pages, but maybe it's just as small as 2 pages, because what you referenced wasn't at all clear to me.
Yeah,
maybe that's just me.
And I can provide that to the board.
Yeah.
It does state about the positions such as chair, vice chair, and
Right.
secretary. However, it does not state that there are terms on those positions.
Right. See,
you do have terms on your appointments to the board, but as far as holding the position, not so much. Again, I'll interject, and y'all can decide this as a board if that is the pleasure of everybody, and getting a motion, a second, and being the majority. That's something we can look into. We can do it today. You have not approved the draft agenda. You can amend it. We also have February's meeting coming up. It is totally up to the pleasure of the board.
Is there any more discussion, Candace?
I would just suggest, since Steve isn't here, it would be nice to wait until February, and at least we all would then be aware that we're going to be doing elections and can consider it then. I don't think it's going to hurt anything to wait a month.
Do I have a motion?
I move we add this to the February agenda.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Just one quick thing. Did you say you were going to provide some bylaws for us, Chad? Or okay?
Yeah, I could do
Okay.
that.
Yeah. All right. Let's go. Thanks. Okay.
Are there any other items related to the draft agenda?
Well, this is actually a question. Under 5D, Sunset Beach Communities Education and Education about Recycling and Stormwater. You're not really grouping those two things together. They're two separate things, as I assume. Is that correct?
They're separate. Communication is what I want to talk about, how we do that, whether we do them separately or in part together.
Okay. All right. Well, all right.
And we may talk about that in some of the earlier items.
Just a
So
question.
we'll have to see where we get to.
In that case, I would move we approve the draft agenda.
Or a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, good. We have no public with us, so there's no comments to the agenda. I would say to anyone watching this on video, if you are interested in what we're doing, send us information or feedback or come to our meetings. Thank you. Next item are the ERC meeting minutes for October 20th, 21, and November 17th. Are there any amendments to these draft minutes?
Well, since I drafted the November one, do you want this a separate motion or one motion for both of them?
So one month or separate each of
Okay.
them. We'll approve the October 20th
Okay.
and then move to approve the
Got it.
November 17th.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the October 20?
Yes, I motion we approve October 20th.
There's a second?
I second that.
Since you wrote it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Don, do you?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I separated.
Candace?
Yes, I.
Okay. We need a motion to approve the November 17th.
Oh, so move.
Before we do that,
Oh.
you just spelled my name wrong.
Oh, no, I didn't. Where?
It's Candice, so I would just say.
Oh, Candice.
Because honestly, I can't dance, so.
Well, that's spelled Candice.
Yeah.
I did not know that, Miss Sieben. Okay, I do beg your pardon.
Didn't
Please.
read the minutes of the previous month, I guess, where my
No,
name
who-
is
I don't.
spelled on there.
So we have
That's okay. So
We
I-
have
I
an
moved to- I moved to
amendment.
accept with that amendment.
Okay, I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Gosh. Ah,
Okay, are we good to go there?
we're good to go.
All right, old business. There's an update on the resilience hazard mitigation program. Chad,
You want me to start and you finish, or you want to start and I finish?
why
Tag
don't
team.
you start? You can update me.
Tag team.
All right. So the ERC did not meet in December, or no, excuse me, the RCCP did not meet in December. It is also true the ERC did not meet in December. However, that's not what we're currently talking about. The RCCP reconvened and met last Thursday. I think that was the 13th of January. Met with Dawn, York, Moffitt, Nickel, and their team, and discussed the draft risk vulnerability assessment. There was a lot of talk back and forth. I think the meeting lasted a couple hours. Excuse me. And ultimately, it was decided that Moffitt Nickel was going to make corrections or based on the comments provided off of the community action team to the draft vulnerability assessment, along with taking the list that the team provided Moffitt Nickel back in September, October, and come up with projects. So as of yesterday, I have a spreadsheet of 11 projects. I've not sent out to anybody yet, but I do have them. I plan on doing that along with the revision of the draft for risk vulnerability assessment. The RCCP community action team will meet next Thursday to hopefully look at both of those documents and improve. I had a phone call with Dawn York this morning that the state is looking for them to finalize by the end of the month. So we're trying to bridge those two gaps, and ultimately, the town of Sunset Beach will have a risk vulnerability assessment, but I think more importantly, we'll have a list of projects that the town staff, along with the ERC, planning board, and town council can look at budgeting for capital improvement projects using these and potentially grant funding moving into phases 3 and 4.
Sounds like
So,
progress.
The other thing that's kind of being thrown around with this is potentially, I'm still working with this in staff, but one of the things that y'all need to be aware of is that it might be tasked to the ERC to continuing the hazard mitigation portion of moving the town into the next 10, 20 to 30 years. So,
What would that entail, the most recent thing you mentioned?
good question.
Nobody knows, okay.
It could be that the ERC would potentially listen to staff bringing in a couple consultants to how we move that, because we don't have a specific hazard mitigation plan. We have a county one that's adopted by us. We have a Southeastern hazard mitigation plan. And I think what the council and the RCCP community action team has echoed is that Sunset Beach needs something a little bit more tailored to Sunset Beach. And so staff is going to look into this. It might be tasked with the ERC to look forward to this. And ultimately the job is to work on this and make a recommendation to council on how to proceed forward with this. It could be, and I've got to see what that looks like moving forward. I think at the minimum, it would be looking into see if there is the want or the need to bring in a consultant to look at doing a document for us specifically tied to Sunset Beach. And I just have to navigate this one and see where it leads us.
By you, when you said southeast, I think you meant southwest, is that right?
So Southeastern Hazard Mitigation Plan is a mitigation plan adopted by the town, funded, and it stretches through 4 counties: Onslow,
Okay.
New Pender, New Hanover, and Brunswick. So it used to be 3 counties, used to be Pender, New Hanover, Brunswick, and then it extended up to Onslow as well. So it ranges from Jacksonville almost all the way up to neighboring Craven County, which is where New Bern's at.
Pretty large area. Okay, I beg your pardon. My degree in geography gets in my way sometimes.
So that's kind of where we're at with all this. Mr. Farrell, I don't know if you have anything to add.
I would add that I would remind everyone that the town passed a resolution making climate change mitigation an important town activity, and they reconstituted the ERC with a primary focus on climate change mitigation at that time. And our early activities discovered the state activities, the commitment to climate change mitigation and resiliency. And that has moved forward with the town and is going to be a good long-term benefit. As the planning board and the community action team has worked on this, we realize that this needs a continuing effort. This needs someone to monitor it and remain in an advisory capacity, like we are advising the town council and staff on environmental issues such as the recycling and stormwater and tree programs. We've discussed the possibility of the ERC picking up the resiliency program after we get through these project identifications and try to make some plans to complete it. So I would encourage the members of the ERC to watch closely what's going on in the RCCP meetings, and if you have any questions about anything related to this, you can contact me or Chad, and we can give you the information to stay up to date. This is a program that's in flux right now. There's a lot going on. There's a lot changing. So as we get more identification and clarification on where we're going and what we're doing. We'll share that information with everyone.
And I don't know how soon I'll have that. I know staff and I or administrative staff and I are talking about this. I'm sure that the council will have to appoint the ERC to do this. We're also coming up in the budget season with the projects and moving forward with this. So as we move into budget season, as we move into what this looks like, I will keep y'all updated as much as I can on this. So
If I may, I know you said there's no nothing definite yet,
nothing definite.
but are there, to put us on, not on alert, but to keep us moving forward, would you like one project a month, 2 projects a month? I mean,
So
what kind of,
what it would be is that the RCCP will move forward with the steps 3, 2, 1, and 2 will essentially be closed, and staff will work through how to navigate through 3 and 4. What the ERC will be probably more tasked with will be more the hazard mitigation part of it. Again, it goes back to the last time the town of Sunset Beach had a hazard mitigation plan specifically tied to just the town of Sunset Beach. John, was it what, 2012 or earlier than that?
Before my time.
Yeah. So it's been at least 10 to 15 years
Yeah,
since we've
it's
had
old.
that document updated or written.
Chad, my recollection is, and this is kind of fuzzy, the Council of Governments back before I retired helped a number of communities with those plans. I
Mhm.
don't know if Sunset Beach, not me myself, helped a lot
Right.
of communities.
Yep.
Could have been this one too. I don't
Yep.
know.
So looking into all that and coming up with an idea of, and then sending something back to council, whatever that is. Are we good with the Southeastern Hazard Mitigation Plan? Are we good with what the county has for us? Or do we need to move forward with having something written specifically for Sunset Beach? This boils down to the bigger issue with this is that it boils down to when we have a mitigation plan, which we have an adopted one. It's an umbrella under the whole entire Southeast, or what they consider the 4 counties, is getting FEMA money. Is when we have a natural disaster or something tragic happen to Sunset Beach, as we declare state of emergency, are we able to get FEMA money back? We're covered under that. It's just tailoring it more to Sunset Beach. It is something where the staff is taking a look at how do we navigate into moving the town into the next 10, 20 to 30 years.
because FEMA rules are changing also, right?
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they are.
Drastic.
They are. I mean,
Okay.
so
I would add that the objective of the RCCP, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, but is to come up with a small number of high priority projects that make the town a more resilient community. We've identified a huge number of areas of the town that we think are at risk. And when we prioritize these and pick out the top items, then we'll report that back to the DCM, the Division of Coastal Management.
Okay.
And we'll try to get funding to complete those projects.
So
So
But
those are,
that'll set the baseline of information for the town about what are all the areas of risk,
mhm.
what are the highest priorities, what can we get help from the states. Through Moffitt and Nickel, we'll get references to other funding sources that we can apply to for grant money. So we'll keep this going, and there's got to be a transition at some time from all this activity with the planning board to another group. And
Because the planning board is getting ready to shift away from our CCP. The community action team is in shift to first meeting of every Thursday, the first Thursday of every month to regular planning board meeting, then the third Thursday of every month to the audit and rewrite of the Unified Development Ordinance.
Oh, my goodness.
So we're getting ready to go into a 2 to 3 year process of that. So planning board is jam-packed with stuff on their plate. So that's where the ERC comes in. This is the Environmental Resource Committee. And again, I've got to weed out the details with staff on what this looks like. Where do we want to go forward with this, and how do we continue having the I'm trouble looking for a word. Keeping the importance of hazard mitigation for this town and recognizing that need, and how do we again navigate this forward into Sunset Beach's future.
In other words, you've only got so much room on your front burners.
Pretty much.
That's right.
There's only so much white on my whiteboard
That's
that
right.
I can
That's
scribble on. So
I appreciate y'all's update. I was just telling John before the meeting, I can't get my hands around RCCP stuff the way I feel like I should, but this has been helpful to me. But I did want to ask a question. Natural disasters, I guess we're mainly looking at flooding and other things related to hurricanes primarily.
I think on the short term, we're looking at, some kind of high wind storm, such as your nor'easters this time of year, your hurricanes, your tornadoes.
Right.
Long range, I think, is where we get into sea level rise, and I'm pretty sure I'm missing a few others and stuff like that.
It was identified by the community survey that high wind events are a problem in the community.
Right. The reason I asked, I kind of make light of this, we've got bear in our neighborhood. Bears.
Yeah, I know. I've seen pictures of that.
So I do have a comment on that. Do you have king tides here?
Yes.
Sunset Beach?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that makes front page news, the radio.
Yeah.
So if you want more public engagement or acceptance of that this is an issue, is that something
You got to
that
put it there.
I'm sorry?
You got to put it in there. And I think, we have king tides. We
just had some a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we did.
But that wasn't a real king tide. I think it's going to get worse, isn't it? Was that just
I think
it
Charleston had
implodes.
one, and particularly if there's a southerly wind on high tide, this exacerbates the.
Okay.
The causeway got flooded over.
Yeah. Which
It's
is
more and more
one of the
common.
priorities, I guess, right?
Right.
Getting off the island. Okay. All right.
So, okay. We have to decide if we want to pull the ERC in early, and that my recommendation would be that we start integrating the ERC with the RCCP in a timely manner.
Okay.
So we can come up to speed and be in a position to start taking the handoff. Until that might happen, you had the opportunity to attend the meetings. They're public meetings, or you watch the meetings on video. They're all taped.
So one of the questions that came up with this most recent meeting was, if we choose to go in person, and we're not there specifically as ERC members, just members of the community, are we violating any kind of sunshine law or
Yes.
quorum thing?
Technically, you would be, because you would be creating a quorum. So John is on the.
I know he's there as our representative.
He's our representative, so we could have one more where we wouldn't create a quorum.
So
Maybe we could.
But then
Take
it
the
seems
white-
like as a private citizen, I'm sort of being denied my right to participate.
And I tell you what, I will look into that and figure that out,
Because
because you
I
do.
went back and
You-
looked at the North Carolina laws on it, and I could not see. The law kind of said more specifically, if we're not there discussing our ERC business, that it's not. But yeah, I would appreciate if you would look into
Absolutely.
it, because
Because
would
I've
like to
thought
know,
about that.
Partly, as John's saying, we may get involved down the road, and I'd like to know more about it.
Yeah.
But even as a private citizen, I'm interested.
Yeah. Good point.
would like
and
to
it's a
go.
great question, because I thought about that. It's like, well,
Because we're a pretty small
Technically-
committee.
Right.
It doesn't take
because
many of us to be a quorum.
technically, as a citizen, you're being kind of chastised there. You can't attend the meeting because you're going to violate open meeting laws.
Mhm.
But I'm also a citizen of the town of Sunset Beach, and you're telling me I can and cannot attend a publicly open meeting. I'll clarify that because I had that
Yeah, I
thought in my
appreciate
head as in my office, but I will definitely clarify that.
Good question.
And then if it turns out it's some kind of violation, then can we attend but keep some kind of cursory minutes
Right.
of our attendance, the minutes may just say we attended the RCCP meeting.
We are
Thank
fortunate,
you.
Absolutely.
even if we are restricted there, we are fortunate to have the video, the live streaming of the meeting and the video to refer to. I know I go back to the videos.
The live streaming allows us to comment, doesn't it?
It
Or
does
no?
not.
It does not. Okay, so we could do that. But still can't comment if I wanted to.
Right.
Um,
I'm
Comments
not going
can
to meetings, you
always,
will
there's always a way to do something. Comments can always be submitted by email to the town.
Right.
But then still, am I violating some kind of ERC thing?
I don't think so,
Yeah, well, I'll clarify that because I had that thought.
Thank
Okay.
you.
but let's get Chad to
Yeah.
Okay.
straighten us out.
Yeah. All right.
Are there any other questions about the CCP?
Thank you for the update, and thank
Absolutely.
you both for the work on this. That's not an
Absolutely.
easy.
I've got to jump into another meeting. CRS, our community rating system is in a 5-year audit, so I've got to go so we can keep our insurance rates at what they are, flood insurance rates.
That's important.
That's very
Go,
important,
go.
yes.
What is the
All right.
town's rating now?
I think it's a 5 or 6.
Okay.
So I'm trying to keep it at that. And yeah, I found out that we were up for review in late November, early December, and here we are. So
You said CRS, I thought something else, but
right.
can't remember stuff.
All right. Thank you, Chad.
Before we go, Rich and John, I will get with you later this week on going to council on the Arbor Day and what y'all decide coming out of this meeting. So, all right.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. The only other thought that comes to mind about hazard mitigation, creating a substantial hazard mitigation program is a big job, and it's important.
Well, it is, and I don't necessarily want to push the panic button, but it's a pretty heavy lift.
Well,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
and when we get into heavy lifts, then we need help.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not something
Sure.
we can do
No.
ourselves at
No.
a keyboard, but we will work with
Yeah.
the consultants as advisors to do that. And
We
whatever
have to
is,
wait and see how it's defined.
yeah,
What the
whatever
contribution is.
whatever comes out of the hazard mitigation program, resilience is still part of that.
Yeah.
Because you have to have a plan what you're going to do if those things occur.
So I have a question on that. So if there's 5 of us on the board, and like Don, I'm a little fuzzy on the hazard mitigation, discussed it a bit. Can we solicit 1 more member or 2 more members for the board who have some knowledge, some background in? I mean, there's a lot of retired people here with a lot of experience that I'm not sure how you would solicit for that, or if that's
That's a good question, and it's on the table for discussion.
oh, okay.
I mean, I've already suggested if we do that, we need to consider increasing the number of people on the ERC.
And this kind of pushes that forward with, like Don said, it's a big load.
It is. It is.
And
The
a
other-
knowledgeable one, yeah.
The other option is to keep us focused on what we're focused on and to create another committee focused on resilience. But
Does the RCCP, they have some individuals involved that are not part of any committee, don't they? I thought they had some community representatives.
the only RCCP members, community action team members that aren't part of the planning board are John Corbett and myself.
I thought
There
they
was
had-
one other there was one other community person who participated in the survey of risks and vulnerabilities, but she was never made part of the committee. She was,
But there might be avenues to involve. If the council did not want to expand the size of the ERC, there may be some other ways to manage hazard mitigation
oh
if it
yeah,
came to
there's
us.
lots of ways.
Yeah.
We just need to put on our thinking caps and
Right. Decide what works.
yes. And one lesson I've learned is when the council appoints members to these committees, the activities they're involved in are subject to public meeting laws. If we create other groups involved in things that aren't appointed, they're volunteers, that they are not subject to public meeting laws, and they have more flexibility in how they meet together and work together to get things done.
That's a good point.
Sunset Vision is a good example of that.
Right.
So, all right. The next item is the recycling subcommittee. Don, you and Candace have worked hard and long to try to come up with some kind of a program that we can take to the community. Can you update us?
Well, this will be a tag team thing. Ms. Stephen and I have met several times over the last several months and probably had more than one telephone conversation on this whole issue. I think to cut to the chase, we've decided, and I can't want you to jump in here, that perhaps we've gone about as far as we can go with recycling, trying to encourage people to recycle without some further support. Now, having said that, though, one of the things that Stephen mentioned this before is to get a measure of how many people are using the blue boxes now versus last year as a measure, and that may or may not be helpful, but it's a challenge for us. I was at the 904 site this morning, dumping some stuff off, and it was pretty busy. But you don't know how many folks are there from Sunset Beach. I did give up my last 2 magnets, by the way. But I think the continual public information, one-on-ones with people, continuing to attend Sunset at Sunset and other community functions is probably the best we can do, and just keep it out there with the understanding that there are other issues and concerns that people have in their mind. This may not be at the forefront. And that's, Candace, maybe let me stop here and let you pick up.
I think one of the things we were supposed to come and report back on was, would it make sense to organize some type of presentation that we could do to community groups?
Right.
And as we thought about that, I think we concluded that there may not be a good way to do it. Groups, typically, for instance, a PowerPoint presentation, they may not have, and most of them don't, at least any of the meetings I've been to, like homeowners groups and things, don't have equipment where we could do a PowerPoint presentation. We don't have the computer hookups. We don't even have the computer equipment to do it. And really, I don't know about you guys. There's probably some, like Steve, I know has great computer skills. There are probably people that could help put that together. I don't think that's Don and I to do that. But I don't know if that would be useful. I think we may be better in terms of education to step back and, yes, do community events like Sunset at Sunset, maybe think about doing some of the marketplace activities as those come up. Maybe going to CAM and some of these management groups. One of the things I heard at the Sunset at Sunset from people are if they're in rental properties or if they're in communities that are where there are community trash pickups, like, I'm sorry, what's your community? I've done brain
Like
dead this
Sea Trail?
morning. Yeah, Sea Trail. I know I was talking to some people who are over at Colony. They don't have individual collection bins that for curbside pickup
Oh, Sea Trail does.
in the houses, but they don't in the condos. Because we had people ask about that, what were their options? So their options, we can inform them, you can take it and drop it off. Well, for some of them, it's too much work. They don't have space in their home to accumulate the trash
Right.
and don't want to do it. So if there was a way to provide closer pickup or closer drops for people in some of those larger communities, they may be encouraged to do it, but they can't solve that. And maybe these community management groups could help us figure out a way to do it, to put in more of a group, kind of like right now they have group trash bins. Could they have one that's group recyclables? Kind of like they have up at OIB Park,
Yeah, yeah.
something that
Yeah.
size.
The OIB Park dumpster is a county.
Right.
Right.
But could we have something similar, maybe a smaller scale, but something that could go into some of these larger communities where people would be interested to recycle, but right now it's too hard to do it because they can't do it.
So the condos have dumpsters that are
Right.
managed by the county, and they want a dumpster for recyclables.
Right.
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 And okay.
Well, and that gets
Well,
Which isn't managed by the county.
well, the
well,
That's the town, right? That's doing the recycling.
well,
no.
the county does. The county has.
County recycling.
They have county recycling as they do at the convenience centers and they
Right.
do at the parks.
Mhm.
The towns have their own individual programs for curbside pickup.
Right.
So it's a little bit of a confusing issue.
It is, but
And so I heard they would like something like the curbside pickup. They want it in their community. They're not willing to store it for 2 weeks and take it up to the drop site. But they might be willing to store it for a couple days and dump it in the community
Okay.
drop.
This is a,
So different kind of issue when we talk about education, where I'm not sure we know all of the barriers, but that was certainly a barrier that came to mind and
well, that's an
may make
action
more
item.
sense to work
That's an
on.
action item that will come out of education
Yeah,
and feedback from people.
right.
And it's a good one. I mean, I had people tell me the same thing
Mhm.
at the Sunset at Sunset. But we do need to have some kind of educational material, or if nothing else, just references to where they can find this information out. I know Don and I both are participants in the social media where we try to help people understand the recycling situation.
Mhm.
And there's just a lot of people that say, man, I moved, where I lived before, there was recycling. We come down here and I have to pay for this. I didn't have to pay for it before.
John's correct. I was thinking about on nextdoor.com a couple weeks ago, there was a lot of complaining about this and that with recycling, some of it was justified, some of it wasn't. Somebody mentioned that the 904 recycling bins are always full. Well, they're not always full. They may be full once in a while. So there's that element of complaining. And some of it's misinformation, misunderstanding. But there is an element of, I've got to pay for this? It was free up in blah, blah, blah. What do you mean they've got to pay for this?
Well, then when you explain to them
Yeah.
that it's one of the reasons they moved here is because of the low tax
Right.
base, and services like that are not included in the
Yeah.
taxes.
Well,
And if you look at what it costs to pay extra for it versus adding it to your taxes, it's a better deal to pay for it separately. And that gets a lot of people thinking about things, and then they understand. The other thing is people say, well, it doesn't do any good to recycle. It just gets mixed in with the household
I heard
waste.
that.
And then what I do then is I give them a link to the Sunoco recycling websites where it talks about how all that stuff is recycled and where it goes to, and then they thank me for having that kind of information.
That's the education. Interesting. You mentioned about well, it all goes in the same place anyway. And I pointed out to somebody on Nextdoor.com. You think that they are going to go all the trouble with extra trucks and extra blue bins and to dump it in the same place? Think about that a little bit. That is a myth that will not go away. It's like an urban legend. It will
So
not.
yeah, it wasn't a myth. It actually happened in 2017 when China, most countries are sending filthy pizza boxes to them. China says, and they were taking on responsibility. They said, we no longer would do this. So, and then after 2009 and 10, I'm sorry to interject like that, that recession, people quit buying items, toys, which is where most of the recycled cardboard went to. China would make the toys, put them in boxes, and send them back here. But in 2018 and 19, in the stream itself, the recycling stream, the recycling companies said we will only accept clean stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So they've always taken caps off, things like that. They would only accept clean stuff. So it's back to China now accepts recyclables from us.
There's a very interesting video we saw maybe almost a year ago now that might be worth revisiting for
Rich.
Well, I'm trying to think John's
The Sunoco one?
Sunoco one. Maybe you didn't see that.
Sunoco, the
It's online.
Oh, is it? But
Yeah, you can see it on YouTube.
and when you ask somebody,
S-O-N. Sunoco.
Sunoco. Okay.
It's
Like the oil
Sun.
company.
Sun.
The gas.
S-O-N.
Okay.
No, it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
the gas
Oh,
company.
okay.
and when you ask somebody where they heard about going into the dumpster with everything else, well, my brother's neighbor told me that, or my neighbor's brother, or that's what they said. Well, who's they?
Right. Yeah.
Well,
That's what I heard.
I don't think we're saying education's useless. I think we're saying we don't know that we have the right answer for how to reach that audience.
Well,
So one thing might be going through some of the management companies who can work in their own communities rather than going to the separate homeowner associations. I guess as we looked at that and talked with different people, the thought was they're busy enough with the things in their communities, the issues, and it's not a great way to reach the larger community.
So what about the Sloan Realty Company, people who actually rent those places out?
I know that they've been approached in the past, and I wasn't here. Maybe that's something that you two
Okay.
know more about.
Because
some of your predecessors approached them, and some of them are interested, and some of them aren't, unless it becomes an absolute requirement. They don't want to create any issues with their respective
Okay.
renters. Well, another approach is to gather all the information we can find from all of the that has everything about recycling, what the DEQ requires, what's available at the county, what the county does, what the contractors do, what Sunoco does, what GFI does. A lot of people don't even realize the county doesn't even have a viable landfill anymore. The landfill's on its is dying, and it only accepts construction and demolition debris, and all household waste goes to a privately owned landfill up in Sampson County. That's owned and operated by GFI. It's just as far to Sampson as it is to Jacksonville, where the recycling goes.
Well,
so there's very little cost difference to the recycling versus landfilling, and the cost of recycling goes up and down like a roller coaster depending on what the market is.
Yeah,
The
which
thing
is
that's
just what you were
that's
mentioning.
different about the Southeast is that we don't rely on China for recycling. The Southeast has an abundance of companies that use recycled materials as feedstock for their products.
Yeah.
Sunoco, who runs the recycling center, is a plastics manufacturer. They make clamshell devices. And
Okay. Mhm.
they recycle. They take the plastics and use it as feedstock for their product, and they sell the bottles and cans and other goods that they recycle to
Okay.
other
I didn't
users.
know that. Good. So it's
And
local.
Sunoco has plants in North Carolina, South Carolina, and there's a whole range of businesses throughout the Southeast that that really provide a market for recyclables.
Oh.
Now, you don't have that in the Northeast.
Education, right? Yeah.
You don't have that in the Northeast. You don't have that in the Midwest. You don't have that on the West Coast. A
I
couple
think the
years,
statistics for us are that what they say for North Carolina is they can use 85% of what's recycled.
Roughly,
They're able
yeah.
to use it.
Oh, okay.
right?
And their bigger problem isn't using it, it's getting rid of the stuff that contaminates it.
Yeah.
So a
Right.
big part of when we look at when Don and I were talking about it was how to educate people about what not to recycle.
Yeah.
Because it makes it more expensive if you have to decontaminate.
Yeah.
I had that very conversation this morning with a lady out at 904 site. I gave her that little magnet, what you can recycle, not recycle. She did not know, for example, that you shouldn't put shredded material in there because it gums up the machines. But I think I mentioned before, I know Christy at camp. I've known her for a long time. Perhaps Candace and I need to set up a meeting with her, at least tell her what we've got in mind to see what her thoughts are. I'm on the HRA board at Windfall. We've already had our annual meeting. And we have about 4 other meetings of the board during the year. So you missed that opportunity. And I don't think, I'm like Candace, I don't think that a presentation with a PowerPoint to an HOA meeting is probably very useful,
Okay.
frankly.
I can understand that. I can even accept that.
Yeah.
Then I would say that my opinion is that our next channel would be to create a website, create a outline of a website that we can give to the town.
The town does have a website for recycling, but
we
primarily
improve it.
it's hooking to the county's website because aside from our curbside that the town does, and the town is following the same recycling rules and curbside pickup as the county does and what they want to accept. So I think that's what we're doing is just hooking it up, but it's really hard. I mean, I'm agreeing with you that we need to do something about a website because it's hard to find it through the town's the town website is you're like stepping through a maze to get to things. So maybe we can come up with a plan for how do we make this accessible.
But if we improve upon the website that exists,
I think that's
and
a
we
good
add
idea.
other information from the DEQ, from the county, from GFI, from Sunoco, and you've seen websites from other communities. They have a lot of good ideas there too, and then we can give that to the town, and we can improve upon the website.
Yeah.
And then when if we go to talk to the communities, and more of the meetings are being done virtually.
Yeah.
So we can provide the links to the website, which is a lot more common and easier for people to do than to do PowerPoint. But
I like the idea to come up with a plan to improve the website. I
okay.
think that's a great idea.
So
we can
that'll
take a
be
look
our
at that.
new direction. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
I think that makes more sense than trying to do PowerPoints to go to HOAs.
I have a suggestion also. So I'm not sure what the readership is for the Brunswick Beacon or the other 3 or 4 newspapers that come in. But what if you had a commitment from the local paper to do a monthly article on recycling, front page, back page, somewhere?
Right. Well,
I mean, you guys are knowledgeable enough, right? Or you can put a monthly letter together.
I think what you're getting at is something my ex-wife, who was a journalist and former news editor of the Beacon, always said, you have to tell people in different ways about stuff more than once. That's why McDonald's advertises all the time or whatever. And an occasional article, I'm not sure they would take what we submit to them, but I do know the editor at the Beacon pretty well. And I can call or email her and get her thoughts, and maybe them coming down and doing having one of her reporters come down and do a article on recycling in Sunset Beach, or just a general article on recycling in the coastal area.
But yeah, my point is, but instead of giving them more duties, more work to do, that this committee would come up with suggestions once a month, so that way they have one less obstacle to not put that in.
We could give them some talking points.
Okay.
That's a good thought.
Okay.
Well,
Well, if
and
you
I
know the
think,
editor, why don't you talk to the editor and see what would be helpful?
Good idea.
They have been running, as far as like the landfill, I've seen multiple articles in the Beacon about the county landfill problem and,
Right.
and the concerns.
Right.
So I think there is community interest. I don't think they care as much about Sunset Beach
Okay.
specifically because their audience is bigger. But
Right.
the recycling is county recycling. So.
Yeah, and I assume newspapers want some good news,
Sure.
right.
right? And this could be a good news.
Well, the
article
Beacon.
type.
Let me back up. The county recycling person is also in charge of solid waste, Mickey Bozeman, who's been here a couple times. And I'm on the Keep America Beautiful committee for the county. Let me call Mickey and run this idea about through her and see what thoughts she has. I mean, I like where
Yeah.
you're going with this, but
That's a good idea.
Miss Bozeman would be. She
yeah,
might jump right on.
Yeah, we need, whatever we do publicly, we need to do in collaboration with the
Oh
county.
yeah,
A professional, educated recycling.
Right.
she's a pretty sharp person.
Okay.
She's
Good
very
idea.
sharp, and she's
Okay.
very connected throughout the whole area.
Oh yeah.
So,
Okay. Good idea.
okay, good ideas.
Okay, so
So- So let's move. We can move forward with those, Don, and we won't worry about the PowerPoint anymore.
okay,
At least
Okay.
not at this time.
so do we want to contact Christy or Cam now or not?
Let's first focus on, I think our focus we decided was going to be the website. How do we
Okay.
improve the website? And that you're going to talk with Mickey and the Brunswick Beacon
Okay.
editor to see how do we
Okay.
disseminate information that
Okay,
way.
okay, I'll do that.
And then we can come back on
Okay,
And you'll come back next month
with us,
Yeah.
an
what we've
overview.
done,
some kind of a
Yeah,
plan.
where
on
we are. Okay, got it. Thank
with
you.
a plan.
Appreciate all the comments, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Good plan is,
Yeah, the good thoughts.
is important.
Try not
Yeah.
to be too bashful with those.
Well, I mean, it's not any good unless you say it, you know?
Right. Exactly.
All right. We beat that to death. Next item is the Tree City USA Subcommittee, the Arbor Day, Earth Day. One thing on the agenda is a draft of a event program that Rich and Steve have come up with. And Steve, you want to walk us through this?
This is Steve's chair, but I'm Richard. Okay.
It's your chair. Your name's on it.
That's right. My name now. So with our first meeting, there was this discussion about the educating with the RCCP about community involvement, phase 3 or 4, whatever it was. So, and then for Tree City USA. So I thought if we consolidated those three and had consolidated those groups, that information and that knowledge, we should do a Earth Day, Arbor Day event, Earth Day or Arbor Day or both, which is the end of April. The 50-year anniversary was 2 years ago during the coronavirus. But I think a lot of people are eager to get back outside. A lot of people are interested, especially with the climate change, if we're allowed to use that term, climate change. But for Tree City USA, the town needs to plant so many trees. They need to grow each year. They need to do inventories. Chad has all of that information, so I'm not sure what the number is. But I thought if we put together a celebration at the park, it took some time to find a location. At the park, do not just one tree planting, but 3 or 4 or 5 trees. Involve the schools, involve local community groups, involve county. I think it's on here somewhere. Who would be engaged? That's another list. involve the county recycling, engage local nurseries for native plantings, involve the Audubon Society, involve the Scouts, involve all of these disparate groups to come together once a year for a celebration. And I think if you would have the people who are obviously interested, they would show up and come out, but you would have their spouses come with them, their kids come with them, their parents come with them. So it could be an outreach for recycling, nature-based solutions, new garden plans, landscape plans. So anyway, that was my thought. And then I thought, as you can see here, I'll start at the top then. John has developed a proclamation, or is developing, developing that. We would have two distinct sections, side by side within the park, but people are interested in recycling. This is their area. People are interested in the reduce, reuse, recycle there. People looking at the trees and the nature-based stormwater solutions, what they can do in their own backyard. And I don't think there's much on here about the birds and the bees and the butterflies and the pollinators, but we can certainly approach that. So we would have those two different sections. We'd have demonstrations, how to properly recycle. Here's a dirty pizza box. You can't put here's shredded paper. That does not go. I just learned after that magnet that I picked up that to-go cups, plastic to-go cups with the number 2 or 4 or 6 on the bottom are not recyclable.
Really?
And every time you go out for a draft beer, they give you a plastic cup. So I take them home.
I did not know that.
Look at that magnet. It's right on there. Do not.
Yeah, I
do
might
not-
never pay attention to it.
The cups you get at Starbucks are not recyclable either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though they put themselves
Or
forward as
plastic
environmental.
utensils or plastic plates, or they don't want any of that stuff.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Which is a whole nother issue.
I was
isn't it?
surprised to learn they didn't, when I first started looking into it, that they didn't take like the styrofoam containers. You can't do the clamshells and things like that. They
yeah.
don't want you-
Well, the plastic clamshells can be recycled, but the
The
styrofoam-
plastic ones, not the styrofoam.
Right.
Yeah, but most of it's styrofoam.
Yeah. And so
Right.
the answer to that is, and none of us do it. My wife and I were at Folly Beach a couple months ago, and sure enough, people come in this off season, come in, and they would have a clean plate, a metal plate, and the server, whatever, take that plate and they would put their food on that, so they did not have to. It was a walking neighborhood anyway. They did not have to use more plastic or more styrofoam. Real interesting. I've never seen it before, so it was real interesting. And they also had cardboard boxes of water instead of plastic bottles. So anyway, the demonstrations, we contact an arborist or landscapers to do correct tree planting, where it's not deep down into the ground and not too high. If we had the information we could present with rain barrels and rain gardens through the master gardener of Brunswick County. There's several master gardeners. I talked to one yesterday. He said they would be interested. No commitments, of course. Promoting the reduce, reuse, and recycle. Promoting the native trees and plants. There's a North Carolina Native Plant Society. Because landscapers put our house in, or our landscape in, new house. I think about 75% are non-native. I mean, they look great, they're ornamentals, but they're not native. And the native, I won't go to that, but native plants are so important for caterpillars and bugs. And then what we have out here, some of the smart designs of landscape, nature-based landscape gardens that we could put in, the town, near the parks, near the waterways, near the living shoreline. Neighbors could put in, communities could put in, that stops the water flowing, the stormwater flowing out. So stormwater. I put a brief budget together, and I was going to ask Chad what he said they're budgeting, right? The budget season's coming up. I'm not sure what kind of budget we would have, but we don't have to go huge this year. It would be something to grow for next year. Reusable bags, right? None of us like seeing those dozens and dozens of plastic bags go out. So short of if you ban, right, like the article, if you ban plastic bags, they need a replacement. not sure what to do about cat litter, but they would need a replacement. So there are bags out there, shopping bags. There are reusable produce bags, both American made, I think, all American made. Budget for trees, and we haven't decided how many trees yet. But we've been working, Steve and I have been working on this. We need to present it to ERC. ERC with all of your suggestions, please. And I suppose an agreement to move forward to present this to town council.
Well, I like the way that you're headed with this. I like particularly the, I guess BCMG is the Master Gardener program. She is, what's her status now?
I'm an intern in the
She's an
garden
intern.
program.
So sign her up.
Okay.
And
Is that a town thing or county?
county.
It's county,
County.
They,
Stable County Extension Office.
she is going to be an expert here real soon.
Good.
And
I don't know about that, but I'm working on it.
it'll be a third career for her. She's been, or the Master Gardener program is a wonderful resource. I've been out through their botanical garden once, and it's just a really nice facility. They would have all kinds of stuff, resources for this. The other thing I just got to mention is kind of a pet thing. Every time I go to the grocery store, I see somebody taking their cart out with 15 plastic bags. I just cringe. I just,
So we need to do something for that.
Yeah.
We would ask for the shopping store, the store itself, or the town, or someone, or any community group, any major funder, for recyclable bags or reusable bags, right? So
Food Line will sell those for $1 a piece in the county. Mickey had some free that I think she gave us some here
We
one
had
day.
some that we gave away at
And we gave some
Sunset
away.
at Sunset, I think.
And I've got, my wife and I have probably 12 or 15, in 6 or 8 in each car. So we're not,
always gonna have a
so.
My wife has something that's works great for us. We have a whole selection of the individual bags,
Right.
but she's got these 2 bags that fold up into a little ball
Uh-huh.
that she keeps in her purse.
Oh,
And
know
if
if you've
we
ever-
forget something, when we go out of the car, she just pulls these bags out, opens them up, and they hold a lot.
ah,
and you
This-
hope you can lead by
Yeah,
example.
have you guys
but,
ever seen these? This is like what Lowe's uses. I
Right.
had showed mine because I use those all the
Yeah.
time. They hold a ton of
Lowe's
stuff.
Grocery.
Yeah, they're so easy.
We
And I laugh because it says Lowe's on it. If I go to Food Line, I don't take them in.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
might leave my stuff in the grocery cart and pack them myself and put it out there. But
don't
I
think
don't
you're
like
going
to
to-
take Lowe's food
Okay,
stuff
I can't
into
answer.
Publix or
I
Food
can't
Line.
answer for them, but I don't think you're going to offend anyone.
I always make a joke.
I just don't like to do it.
Right.
And lots of people would feel like me.
Well,
Okay, I mean,
Right.
I'm not alone in that.
Oh, I understand.
So I'll pack them in there, and sometimes I have the stuff in the bags, and I put the bag in there because it's so easy to carry it in. These little things can probably hold 5 or 6 bags worth of
amazing.
stuff. The way they use bags, you know,
The,
Oh,
'cause you got a different one. So, and they're not that expensive. I think the cost for them is like $5 or $6 a piece from this company.
okay.
You can have what you want printed on them, and honestly, it's something that I'll copy this for you if you're interested. Because I thought it might be a good suggestion to have Sunset Beach print some of these up. So the way they sell T-shirts and things at
Right.
these different things,
Oh, yeah.
that we could sell these at cost.
Uh-huh.
And if it said Sunset Beach, I could take it anywhere.
Sure.
Right.
Hey.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Yeah. I know
What-
Chad mentioned, we discussed the bags, and I have some first questions. Is it American made? Right. So it's not in a container sitting in California or in South
Right.
Carolina,
Yeah, I
in
don't know
Georgia,
where they do
whatever.
theirs.
But Chad said I hope I can say this. He said it's easier to give than to receive
It is.
for the town, to ask for money to sell. I'm not sure what the code is, but to sell things for us, this committee, to sell things to recoup money for the town. I'm not sure what that is. So I would think anything we get, I'm assuming this, the town would sponsor,
I would think we'd
budget for.
we would very easily give away a couple hundred bags out of Sunset to Sunset. I make a little, when we go to, I've got a Publix bag. When we go to Food Line to shop, I always ask the checker, you're not going to charge me extra for use the Food Line Publix bag guy says, no, we don't shop there either, so
Okay.
make a joke of it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, real estate, yes.
Are there other ideas or suggestions of what we want to possibly add to this?
I think it's a good plan. It's a lot to target to do for the end of
Yeah. Sure.
March, April. When were you?
It'd be the end of
All right,
April.
we'll talk about the timing.
Yeah.
No,
Well, I'm just
Chad
wondering
wants,
if it may be something to target parts of that for this year, because I know you're saying, hey, some of this we can do this year, and some for this is the first time. Next time we can add on.
Right.
The one
And
thing,
then the other would just be you do it at Town Park, the one by the water, or the Town Park where they do the music events.
there's only one town park, that's by the water.
I
The
think
other area is not a town property. It's owned by the apartments.
somebody told me that's a town property.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So we'd considered that because the town park
Mhm.
is beautiful the way it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The town concert area is like a brownfield in my
Right,
opinion.
right.
Oh, sorry, sorry,
Yeah.
council.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
it could be so much more. It could be, I think anything the town does needs to be set as a role model for developers, set as a role model for neighbors, for communities. This is how a garden should, this is why you put trees on this side. People can realize the benefit every time they go to a concert. So.
Yeah.
But no, there is one town park, and we
Okay.
checked other
The,
places.
the one,
I'm almost, I'm
Sorry.
90% sure that property where the
I always thought it
Concerts
was
is
owned
not
by
owned
those
by the-
condos, but somebody told me that it is not, that the
I
town
don't-
owns that land.
I don't believe so.
But not the stuff by the planetarium where they do sunset at sunset. The
Right.
town doesn't own any of that.
But, okay, there's a couple things here that I want the committee to consider. One is that this is a dual function. This picks up the environment with trees and Earth Day, and it also picks up recycling. Do we want to combine those two, or do we want to just focus the first event on Earth Day and Arbor Day and keep recycling out of this? Well, the way this works, correct me if I'm wrong, is I have like a ceremony to get it started, and it'll be two areas. And those interested in the environment will go to the Earth Day, Arbor Day, and those interested in recycling would go to the other, and go back and forth. Or do we just keep this on Arbor Day and Earth Day?
I'd be
I-
interested.
I guess I would say I would leave it as Arbor Day and Earth Day, but maybe we could do something like we did at Sunset, have a small booth or something where we could hand out recycling education materials. For
We
this
have-
time,
we have
partly because there's a
thousands of-
space limit at the
We
town
have
park.
thousands of those magnet pass outs.
Mhm.
I've got two big boxes of them.
What,
on
the
my truck.
recycling magnets?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
I'll
And
give you, don't go away, I'll give you a
Okay.
box.
Hey,
He gave me a couple hundred. There's still
Yeah,
in the car. Yeah.
I go ahead.
Well, what do you want to do this as a dual focus or just a singular focus?
I'd be interested in what Rich had to say because you kind of co-authored this. Keep them separate or together, or what was y'all's thinking on this?
I would think talk to
Okay.
the county.
Okay.
What's her
Oh,
name?
talk to
Mickey.
Mickey.
Mickey. Talk
Uh-huh.
to Mickey, and she may be looking for outlets. Right,
Sure.
her and her staff may be looking for outlets. They can promote the. That's different though. The town recycling is different, isn't it? If her or her staff take suggestions
It's
from your
kind of
neighbors
just-
and your neighbors and
It's
your
kind of
neighbors,
just her.
It's her.
There's not a staff.
She is her.
Oh, okay.
So
maybe
well,
she would take.
She does have some stuff.
And
But
she is, that's one of the reasons, as John said, that, she likes to work with the communities because we can provide
Give the responsibility out to. Okay.
power.
and she has told me that she likes what we're doing. Now, maybe she says that to everybody, but I know Miss Seaman. I know her very, very well. The one question I had, or one comment, these rain barrels, I looked at a couple of years, well, several years ago buying one. They were like $65
Uh-huh.
for. I don't know if that's, I think Lowe's or Home Depot or somewhere. I think.
Cheaper than recycling. I'm kidding. Sure.
Now, rainbows are expensive, and if
Yeah.
you don't get a quality one, they're not going to last very long.
Yeah.
I have 2 of them in my house. And,
And if you don't do it right, you breed mosquitoes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I read some articles. Sorry to jump. Mosquitoes don't carry malaria. Mosquitoes don't carry Zika. Mosquitoes are annoying.
Yeah.
So when they do the spray, Dustin, when you said they do the spray, it's that pyrethrum or something. Even though it's natural, it still kills everything in contact. Kills ladybugs, kills praying
Yeah,
mantis, it
yeah.
kills
Yeah,
everything. So anyway, yeah, mosquitoes we don't want. So
Well,
But-
they sell these little donuts that you can put in the water. And
Town gives them away.
right.
oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Well,
yeah,
Chad,
I would suggest I know it's only 3 months away, 2.5 months away, but if it's as simple as standing there handing out magnets,
Easy
you
to
wouldn't
do.
have to be with the
Easy,
information. But yeah, it's still, at least it's still getting the word out there for that, and it would still
Yeah.
make it to the paper, and it would
Yeah.
still do those things. So
okay.
I,
So we
I
want to
think
keep
that's a
it a
good way
dual.
to do community education
I
is through
think
the
so.
town's events.
So we want to keep it dual.
Mhm.
Okay.
and it doesn't have to be major this year, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Just
All right. So Chad wants to meet with Rich and I to come up with a more final plan for this. So we'll take these ideas together and do that.
Okay,
All right.
sure.
And then we'll come back with
Sounds good.
a plan for next month. I
I
think
don't-
Rich and
Rich, I don't know if you were aware, there was I'm trying to think who sponsored it. Trees for Cities or something was the name of this group. Because several of the master gardeners went. There was a group up towards Wilmington that gave away something like 1,000 trees, and they gave them away fast.
yeah.
People wanted them.
Yep. Mhm.
And I'm wondering if there's a maybe not doable for this year, but if there's a way to do that, maybe through the county, where there are organizations that would give us trees that we could give to people.
Right.
I bet Leland did that.
I remember in Ohio, the county used to send a thing out, hey, you could buy 1,000 pine tree seedlings for
Right. Yeah.
$50 or something.
I could still remember Arbor Day when I was in like 4th grade. They gave us little bitty trees.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I asked the
They
teacher
still
how much
do.
it cost. She said $1 million. Goes up a 4-year-old. I don't.
Oh, okay, right, yeah, that's funny. But I honestly, I think we can get a lot done in
Yeah.
a few weeks' time.
okay.
I like the way this is headed.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to thank Rich and
Yeah, oh,
Steve
yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
for what they've done to get us this far. And
Hmm.
um,
Good job.
all right, the next item is the community's education on recycling and stormwater. Everything I kind of had in mind to talk about, I think we've already done. So unless anyone has any other
No.
thoughts to add to that, we'll move on to the Council Proclamation. I've really had a difficult time getting my arms around this.
Yeah. Let's see that. I didn't write
But-
this, so.
So I wanted to have some discussion this morning on a proclamation. Last year, we did a proclamation for Arbor Day. We did a separate one for Earth Day. This year, we talked about combining those into one because we were going to tie it to the event that we're going to have. And I would also say that the town is very interested to see this happen.
Oh, good.
I've had some very positive comments from council members and the staff to do something like this. So the thoughts I have is that we would start out identifying that the town of Sunset Beach is an environmentally sensitive area. And the community of Sunset Beach is an environmentally responsible community.
At the town of Sunset Beach for that.
Well, you could say town or community.
Okay. Or both. Right? Okay. Sorry.
But the next slide is that in North Carolina, Arbor Day is celebrated on March 18th. Nationally, Arbor Day is celebrated on April 29th. There's no requirement to be on either date. You can celebrate Arbor Day
Tomorrow.
any day of the year, according to the Arbor Day Foundation. We need to find out from Chad where we stand on the application to Tree City USA. The next thought was that Arbor Day is to encourage planting tree seedlings and flowering shrubs to promote beautification and conservation. And the trees are an increasingly important element of fighting climate change. Then Earth Day is to be celebrated April 22nd nationally. And the theme for Earth Day this year is to invest in our planet. The other thing that's going on in the town that's environmentally responsible is the resiliency program. But I think it's premature to wrap that into this, so I'm thinking we create something called an environmental proclamation. We
good.
include our Earth Day and Arbor Day importance and some of the elements of each one of those, and that I would draft up a proclamation for the next committee meeting that then we would give to the council to get them to agree to it and make a proclamation, and we would tie it, timing-wise, we would tie it to this event that we want to have, and that we would have that event sometime at the end of April. Is that what you were thinking?
So Good Friday is the Friday the 15th, April 15th. I'm not sure if that's a celebration, churches or whatever. April 22nd is Earth Day, Worldwide Earth Day, and Arbor Day for the U.S. is April 29th. So yeah, any of those two, which gives us another week or two, any of those two dates, because the publicity is on social media, the publicities in Wilmington, the publicities in Charlotte, whatever. So people are expecting to see those kind of celebrations at those dates. So.
Do you have any thoughts to add to that?
Well, the only thought I had, John, in looking at their outline here, I guess kind of sort of an outline, that's a lot of information to put into one proclamation.
It would be abbreviated.
Yeah, good. I was going to suggest you get out the
There's
red
a lot
pen
of
and cut-
wherefores and therefores.
Yeah, just short. Doesn't have to be 2 pages, Yeah, absolutely.
Right. No, it would try to keep it into one page.
Oh, yeah.
The points are good, though.
Yeah.
Personally, I think Earth Day is better known than Arbor Day.
Yeah.
This is
So we may see more information
Okay.
in the
Right,
media.
yeah.
you already have this. That's what you sent me
Um,
a link to this morning. Right? Oh, no,
No,
I
so-
did this.
Well, thank you.
I took this off of Google. The theme for this year on Earth Day is to invest in our planet. This is some of the background of that.
That's great. Yeah, that's
Okay, so we will try to focus this on Earth Day and Arbor Day. We'll I think targeting it for Earth Day on April 22nd
okay.
would be a good date.
I remember we did Tree City USA back in Ohio, and the word Arbor Day had to be, for Tree City USA, the word Arbor Day had to be
Explained.
in the proclamation or in the name of the event somewhere along there. That was,
Okay.
that was
Yeah,
3
makes
levels
sense.
above me, right? But the word Arbor Day has to, I assume.
Makes
Arbor Day
sense
has
to be in there.
What
Yeah.
does?
It does. It makes sense to put those
Right, yeah,
together.
to get a Tree City USA.
now, are you from where she worked at one time? Or
Cincinnati
He
area.
was.
Sorry.
He lived. Where
Oh,
he
you're a
was
Bengals
was very
fan,
close
huh?
to where I was.
I don't follow sports at
Okay.
all.
Okay, so Well, head in that
Just as an
direction.
FYI, Rich, I don't know if you go to that park, to the town park a lot, but I do, and they cut down this summer, they cut down 3 big trees, diseased, I think is why, but 3 big trees right down at the waterfront. If you go, you can probably still see the patchy
Yeah,
areas where
yeah.
they were. So planting there might be something the town would really appreciate.
But I think we discussed, Steve and I discussed this a bit, John and I. You really don't want to block the view down there, I don't think.
Yeah.
So
In terms of holding in the beach and everything, though, and part of a natural, part of
You
your
walk
natural
there-
protection.
right. Have
the
you walked
tree-
there lately, that pink Twin Lakes restaurant?
Mhm.
Because I walk from our Sea Trail neighborhood through that parking lot. They've taken out all the trees in front. There's a bridge keeper's bench there. They've taken out all the trees, all the shrubs, so now it's almost bare sand down to. So here's the living shoreline.
Mhm.
Here's that restaurant, and now there's hardly anything. That's a good point. Hardly anything there. But I think that area that you're talking about in front, in the grass, the flag grass here,
Mhm.
I'm there 3 or 4 days a week, walk that area.
Yeah.
I think that's where the living shoreline already is.
Living
The
shoreline
living shoreline
is
is out in the water.
Right. I know. I'm sorry,
Right.
but I think that's so. I mean,
That's
it's-
part of the protection, but and that doesn't go quite that far over
Okay.
either. So look, you'll see
I'll-
where
I'll check
those
again,
trees were, because I can only tell you several of the people that go there.
Sorry to see those go.
Really sorry because of the shade they provide. It's hot there in the
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah, it's a beautiful park.
Yeah.
It is.
And we were thinking more of ornamentals because you don't want to put in 3 more oak trees,
No,
right?
it
Or
wasn't oak that came out either.
Don't get a
cedars.
Bradford
It's
pear
probably
either.
cedar.
No. So it would be a native
Yeah.
coastal North Carolina native tree.
One thought, Murphy's Law being what it is, it might be useful to check with the town to see if the park isn't reserved by somebody else for something
That's
else.
a great point. Yeah, thank you.
Well,
you know,
we'll cover
Yeah,
that with
Murphy's
Chad.
Law
and we'll
might
make
kick
fun
in
of it.
and
Right. Yeah.
We'll cover that with Chad.
Anyway, great ideas. Good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Any other ideas or discussion?
Send me an email, one-on-one email, if you have any, or text if you have any. So I do
Okay.
have a question about when you present this. So if the board approves that we should do this, ERC, when is this presented to council so I could start making legitimate phone calls and texts?
well,
Well, we gotta work that out with Chad.
Okay. Just let me know when I could start doing it. Steve and I can start. Steve's probably watching. We could start soliciting
Mhm.
basically.
Okay. Well, Chad wants to meet with us this week.
Okay.
Not much of it left.
Yeah.
But we'll go from there.
Go ice skating.
So I don't know if it's required, but can we get a motion from the committee to proceed on the outline of the plan for the Arbor Day, Earth Day celebration?
I move that the subcommittee move forward with these ideas and proceed wherever you're going.
We would recommend to the
Right.
to the town that this be done.
Well, yes, but my assumption is they're going to come back. Are you going to come back to us with flesh this out, or just go ahead with what you've got here?
You're going to present
No,
it to the council, right?
We're growing this event. How's that?
Okay.
And I don't have. That's Steve and I we do not have to make a unilateral decisions. Any suggestions are open, but yeah. And once it's approved, that means we can move forward. Steve and I could bring to the council that this is an update every time we have it, this council. Every time we meet committee.
I move that this process move forward by the subcommittee. Let you decide where you want. That make any sense? That make any sense?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So maybe the motion should be that Steve and Rich move forward with their work to present this to town council
Okay.
for approval to conduct the
That
activity.
they work
go,
with
thank you.
town staff to create a program for presentation and request for approval from town council.
All
Okay,
right.
so motion that Rich and Steve work with town staff
Town staff to finalize the program and seek approval from town council.
Okay, I so move.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Check mark up here.
good. We have no public here, so there's no public comments. So do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Also move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all very much.
All right.